Labor, the life of our nation and most untouched and unattended sector by the government since the independence. Despite the urgent issues, it has still not been looked after, yet until now. The commission responsible has taken up the issues related to labor and labor laws and has suggested implementing new labor codes. The calendar date is yet to be marked for implementing of these codes, but the employers and professionals will now have to pull up their socks and get their policies structured and aligned first. But to get these policies structured and aligned, the understanding of these codes need to be streamlined. And to do the same, I have with me Mr. Ashok Nawal, the founder of Bitsol India Group. Hello sir, how are you doing today?
Yeah, very nice, Rahan. Hope all of you are safe and using all the masks and sanitizers so that we can defeat the COVID.
Good to hear that, sir. Also, how are things at your end?
Yeah, right now in Pune, it is decreasing trend. But again, there is a fear whether that third wave and pandemics will again kill the Indian economy. That is the only fear.
Great, sir. Without taking much of your time, I would like to straight away come to the first question of our episode. That is, why are labor reforms necessary?
Rohan, if you know, this labor reform which we are talking about was way back it was required. We had the oldest law from 1936, 1948, 1947 like that, and 2 age-old laws were there. Nobody has got the political will to take on that. Honorable Prime Minister has repealed 1500 unnecessary act which was there, and out of that 15 were the labor laws. However, there was a need, much felt need, even in the year 1999. Second Law Commission, National Law Commission was constituted for labor reforms. But they have submitted the report. It was accepted by the cabinet, but could not take place because that time whosoever might be in the government was not able to take the decision to take the reform, to check. This reform was much necessary because government ranking, ease of doing business, world is looking for the ease of doing business, and our ranking was very poor, though we have improved a lot. So what was necessary, that 2 age-old laws should go out. It should be a employer friendly and trade employee protective. Both has to be matched, and it has to be a digitized solution so that ease of doing business will be there, and Inspector Raj has to go. That was the need to do the labor reform at all.
So my second question is, what is changing in labor law?
I will put it like this. Earlier there were 29 labor laws. 29 labor laws has now become 4 codes. Means what earlier trade and industry has to go through 29 laws now has been concisely made in the 4 codes. Earlier in these 29 acts, 1458 sections were there. Now it has become 480 sections. Earlier any industry has to obtain 17th registration. Now they will have to obtain only 4 registrations, and existing registered unit will not to obtain any further registration. Earlier I was to file 61 returns. Now only 6 returns are supposed to be filed, and any employer has to maintain 108 registers, which now he will have to maintain only 6 register, and that to digitize. So this is a major change. This major change will have the greater impact of ease of doing business. Employer friendly provisions has been made. The most important, earlier in 29 acts, different definitions were there for employee, employer, workman, workman. So many words were used and defined, and that is the reason it was very difficult. So here in 4 codes, uniform definition has been made. So it will have the less of complications and less of complexities. The furthermore, like a definition of workman, employee, wages, are now uniform definition in across 4 codes. Applicability is almost common in all 4 codes. So this law, what is changing is most important, is the easiness of understanding, removing the complexities, thereby the removing or substantially reducing the litigation, employer friendly provisions as well as long vision employee protective provisions has been made. So this is the major change. If you talk on very specific, that is now what is not covered. Earlier only organized labor was covered. Now organized labor, unorganized labor, farm labor, the persons working on home, all those are covered. Even in the social security, self-employment, who are the entrepreneur, even they are covered. So the coverage for the long term for each human being has been considered in this aspect. And labor law will not protect only the organized employee, but it will protect all the employees, all the stakeholders. Now contractor employee is also considered, contractor is also considered as employer. Earlier the concept of principal employer was there. Now contractor is also considered as employer and is also duty bound to do all those things which is required to be done by the employer. These are the major changes. Further offences and penalties have been made use, so that when provisions are made trade friendly and still violation takes place, then prosecution provision, penalty provision, compounding provisions are very high. And majorly, rather than going in the litigation, compounding provisions has been made. So this labor reform is going to take India aggressively in the Make in India, help Make in India drive. Will make digital India.
So can you share why was consolidation so important?
You see, you can see 1458 sections to remember, and now only 480 sections, 29 sections to remember, 29 laws to be implemented, so many registrations, so many things. So it was more complex of a labor law, and exit is also was difficult, and employee was also, it was not in the visionary aspect of the social security for the employee. Therefore, the balancing act was required to be done. Ease of doing business, that will only bring the Prime Minister's vision that Make in India. Other foreign companies will come in India, so that they are not afraid of the local laws. And when they will come, or Indian entrepreneur will open their own shops, because of the earlier what used to happen, if you are going to have more employees, then people used to make different firms, or they never used to grow, because there was a labor union and labor issues and all those issues. Now that issue has been made out. So more employment generation will be there, because more industries will be there, more offices will be there, more service providers will be there. That was an important, and this employment generation was important without dilating the basic aspect, which is securing of the employee's right, safety, security and health of the workers. That is most important. And reducing the complexities, litigations, that was the most important, so that we can concentrate on the core sector of doing the business rather than only compliances.
So I'm going to ask you the very basic question, what is the distinction between an employee and a worker?
First time it has been made very clear that employee means any person other than apprentices and trainees and articles who has been employed on wages. Now, wages may be part-time, full-time, piece rate, time rate, all that will be covered. Whether they cover under the semi-skilled, unskilled or fully skilled. Manually operated, manual work, supervisory, managerial, administrative, technical and clerical, which has been hired for reward, and terms of employment are explicitly and impliedly mentioned. That is covered under the employee, and which also include the person declared to be an employee by appropriate government, but only armed force of the union will not be covered as an employee. Balance, whether irrespective of your managerial category, irrespective of you are doing the technical categories, all those covered as an employee. Whereas, if you see the employer, very important is what is the employer is covered now. Employer means a person who employs direct and indirect employee through a contractor, whether you make it through contractor or yourself. In the establishment, where establishment is carried by any department of a central government or a state government or any of those things, all those will be covered as an employer, and if it is an establishment or a factory, is the occupier or a manager. If any other establishment, the person who is holding the control of that will be considered as employer. Contractor also will be covered as employer. And first time in the Indian history, legal representative of deceased employer also will become the part of employer. Earlier what used to happen, when proprietor dies, their workers, nobody was caretaker. Now that also will be considered as employee. Legal heirs. Workman is concerned, even the technical clerical staff is also covered, managerial staff is also covered under the worker.
Another one of the important question which everyone would want to know is, what is an establishment?
Establishment is considered as a wider term, where that is the place where any industry, trade, business, manufacture or occupation is carried out, and includes the government establishment. All that is covered as establishment. So anything and everything is covered under establishment, whether you are the self-employed person working from home, you are also considered as you are the establishment.
So can you throw some light on who is an inspector cum facilitator?
You see, Rohan, this is very important sea change. Earlier, inspector used to come and he used to dictate. And that is the reason to eliminate the inspector Raj. Now, the definition has been made as the inspector cum facilitator. So, his job, what is defined here, means a person appointed by the appropriate government, but his role is include the advising to the employer, workers relating to compliance of the provision of the code, inspect the establishment and assign him to the appropriate government. His role is of a facilitation and inspection rather than only inspection. Most importantly, randomized selection of inspection will be carried out, and inspection will be web-based, which will have the facility of electronic summoning and information to help the compliance. It means faceless inspection will be there, faceless facilitation will be there. Now trade and industry need not to fear, oh inspector aa gaya. That is what is the most important part of this labor reform.
So another basic question, who is a contractor?
A contractor in relation to an establishment, a contractor is a person in any of the constitution, proprietor, partnership, HUF, LLP, private limited company, public limited company, who undertakes to produce a given result for that establishment, other than only mirroring of the supply of goods and services for manufacture of the goods through contract labor. Supplies contract labor to the establishment as a mere human resource and including subcontractor. Means contractor means anything which even works, give the result, not only supply the goods and also supplying the labor for manufacture or engaging the subcontractor is also considered as a contractor. And contractor is the employer too.
Continuing to my previous question, what is a contract labor or who is a contract labor?
Contract labor, in earlier case what used to happen? Contract labor means he comes, if he completes 180 days, then the question of permanency and all those things used to be there. Now contract labor means a worker who shall be deemed to be employed or in connection with the work of an establishment, when he is hired in connection with work he is hired by the contractor or through a contractor with or without knowledge of the principal contractor, employer, and includes interstate migrant labor. Most importantly, interstate migrant labor is also considered as a contract labor, only it does not include a worker who is regularly employed by the contractor for an activity and his employment is governed under mutually accepted the standard of the employment, and he gets the periodical increment, pay, social security. Now what this means? Contractor cannot disown contract labor. This is the responsibility of the contract labor. So unorganized labor, when it is contracted or work without on somebody's role, even without knowledge of a contract principal employer, he will be considered as a contract labor.
So can you help us define work of similar nature?
You see, similar nature, why it was required? There was a earlier Equal Remuneration Act. Now what is said here in the Code of Wages, you will not discriminate anything between male, female and transgender. This is the one of the important aspect. Earlier, transgender, though he is a human being, he was very badly treated or ill treated. Specific provision has been made that there will be no discrimination between male, female and transgender. Now that is the reason they said you cannot discriminate when all three of them or either anybody of them is working of the same type of work. Therefore, similar nature was required to be defined. It is defined first time in the labor law. Means the work in respect of which skill, efforts, experience and responsibility are the same, perform under the same working condition by the employees, and difference if any between the skill, efforts, experience and responsibility for employees of any gender are not of a practical importance in relation to terms and condition of employment. Now, if the similar type of work is done either by the male or a female or a transgender, there cannot be a pay difference, there cannot be difference for the recruitment, there cannot be difference of a promotion, there cannot be difference of the increments. This is the first time in this labor reform has been brought in.
So what were the laws subsumed in the Code of Wages 2019?
You see, the Code of Wages now considered for 4 acts which will be rescinded. What are those 4 acts? Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, and Equal Remuneration Act 1976. So, all those four acts has been made and subsumed in the Code of Wages.
So can you share with us what were the benefits of, or what are the benefits of Code of Wages 2019?
The Code of Wages, the first and foremost, this one is earlier what used to happen, if I just remember, companies used to give less basic, thereby less retirement benefit, less overtime, less PF, and all those things. Retirement benefit hardly used to get it. There were the different definitions of wages across. Even the definition of wages, first time even matter went to the litigation and Supreme Court has decided the definition of wages. So here wages has been defined, which will be all across all for the organized sector and unorganized sector also. The important this one is minimum wages. Central government will declare the minimum wages as a X amount, and state government cannot declare less than that amount. So first central government will declare based on the zone wise rates, based on the purchasing living standard of that, purchasing power of that, and thereby state government will not be able to fix the minimum wages below that. So central government will fix the different national minimum wages for different part of the country. The most important part, you will have to give the payment irrespective of whatever your salary, irrespective of wherever you are, whether you are the manager, whether you are the vice president, whether you are the contract worker. It has to be paid on 7th of each subsequent month. Contractors also are supposed to pay on 7th. If they have not paid, the principal employer, that is the employer, will have to pay on 7th. That is made on the binding. So everybody will get the salaries and wages on 7th. Gender discrimination, as I told you, male, female, transgender will have equal opportunities for the similar nature of work, salaries, wages, structure, recruitment, transfers, promotions, and whatnot and whatnot. And most important is there is a offences or imprisonment provision is also there, earlier also was there, but now if you are repeatedly doing the offence, within 5 years, if you are doing more and more offences, then only imprisonment is there, and contract labor will be treated at par with the regular employee. So this is the main benefit of the Code of Wages.
So what has been changed in Code of Wages 2019?
The first is applicability, coverage. Earlier, where minimum wages were applicable, where scheduled employment was more than 1000, or if Shop and Establishment Act is there more than 20, minimum wages now will be applicable even though you have one employee. Applicable, earlier it was applicable whose wages do not exceed 24,000. If you are below 24,000, all those earlier conditions of all 4 acts were applicable to you. Now here it is applicable to all. Bonus earlier was required to be paid if you have more than 20 employees, and if your salary is more than 21,000, you are not entitled for bonus. Now bonus will be applicable to each and every employee, do not exceed a monthly amount notified, but only who will not be entitled, that amount of ceiling amount will be notified by the government and it will come in the rules. Most important part is overtime. Overtime, it was allowed to only under the relevant controls of the central government and state government. It was a double payment, but only to the workmen. supervisory level person, managerial level person, administrative persons were not entitled to the overtime, which was more of 2 times of the wages. Now, in the code of wages, every person, whether he is working in the managerial category or administrative category or any category, he will be entitled for overtime, which is equal to the 2 times of wages. And as I said, is wages definition has been enlarged. Removal of the gender differentiations, inspection has been changed to the facilitator, and penalty provision has been made very simple. Rather, I will put it, if earlier it was only of paying employees less than minimum wages, what was the penalty? Only 500 rupees or imprisonment of 6 months. Hardly I have seen anybody was imprisoned. But now here minimum penalty is 50,000. If you are violating the law, 50,000 is the penalty, and if you are repeatedly doing this offences more than one time in the 5 years, then mandatory imprisonment will be there, and if you are repeating this, the imprisonment is 3 months and fine is 1 lakh rupees on both. So, what I am trying to say, though law has been relaxed, but if you are going to violate that, penalties will be very high. This has been changed.
So can you help us list down the points to be noted or taken care of under Code of Wages 2019?
First, definition of wages. Now, what it says? Wages definition: basic dearness allowance and retaining allowance. That is the portion A portion. B portion, whatever name you call it as all allowances, PF contribution, ESIC contribution, bonus, gratuity is taken separately, or any other allowances you pay, overtime. Suppose A block and B block put together is 100, then A block has to be 50% of A plus B. It means what will impact? Wages on which your PF will be deducted more, overtime will be paid more, bonus will be paid more, all those your retirement benefit will go higher and higher. Of course, initially net take home pay may be affected, but simultaneously your saving also will increase. That is one, and the important point of this, overtime is also considered in the part B. So, if overtime you are doing more and more overtime, your PF, your wages will go up because it has to be 50% of the A plus B. That is what is the important change of the definition of wages. This will be applicable to all sectors of employment, whether you are in the industry, organized sector, trade, shop and establishment, or unorganized sectors, farm, mining, any sector the person is employed, the code of wages will be applicable. Apart from that, it will be applicable to supervisory level, managerial level and administrative category. Nobody is left out. Disparity of wages in different state will be reduced, because today there is a lot of disparity even on the minimum wages. No salary ceiling for payment of wages condition. Everybody has to be paid on 7th of subsequent month. Now, what will happen with this? Demand will be increasing to make sourcing locally. Workers will be engaged from local sources, because migrant labor is also included therein. Grievances can be addressed for all categories of employees, not only the workmen. Inspection will be done on the inspection scheme, which will be web based. So, ease of doing business and inspection Raj is totally out, and single inspector for all the 4 codes. There will be one inspector, and that too web based. So, he need not to answer from so many offices now. These are important point and takeaways of Code of Wages.
So can you share what has been the impact of Code of Wages 2019?
the code of wages, the way it has been drafted, the first and foremost, every company, every establishment will have to revisit their HR strategies. Earlier, so many allowances used to be there. Now, those allowances, whether that is necessary, wages has to be 50% of the total CTC. Therefore, every company has to do and undertake the restructuring of their salary, restructuring of their heads, restructuring of the dynamic revolving method to calculate the wages and PF contribution thereof, ESIC contribution thereof, bonus calculation thereof and overtime calculation thereof. This is the important thing which every company has to start now, even though Code of Wages, which was supposed to be implemented from 1st April, was deferred because of the rules have not been made by the state government. Let's hope it will come at least in the next year, that is the 1st April, but it may come earlier also, because section 142 of Social Security Code has been already been notified. Now every person, every employee has to carry out the Aadhaar link so that his social security is guaranteed. The important part, he has to be 100% compliance, otherwise heavy penalties will be there. And the third, he will be concentrating on his business, because only one inspector, and that too is a facilitator, and he will do the web-based inspection and he will also guide to the employer. So this is the impact of Code of Wages, where ease of doing business will be there. Everybody will get guaranteed salary on 7th. Everybody will get better salary for the social security, and his retirement, his benefits are guaranteed. All those are very, very important aspects.
So my next question is around Code of Social Security. What were the laws which were subsumed in it?
Earlier, there were n number of laws, there were 9 laws were there to protect the interest of the employees or workmen. Now, it has been clubbed, 9 acts has been subsumed in the Code of Securities, such as Employee Compensation Act, that is Workmen's Compensation Act, Employee State ESIC Act, EPF Act, Employment Exchange Act, Maternity Benefit Act, Payment of Gratuity Act, Cine Workers Welfare Act, Building and Other Construction Workers Welfare Cess, and Unorganized Workers Social Security Act. So this act, if you see, Employees Compensation Act was 1923, ESIC was in 1948, Employees Provident Fund was 1952, Employees Exchange Compulsory Notification of Vacancies was in 1959, Maternity Benefit was 1961, Payment of Gratuity was 1972, Cine Workers was in 1981, Construction Workers 1996, and Unorganized Sectors was in 2008. You can see the 2 old laws, and absolutely some of the provisions were so redundant, which was made necessary to have in the single code, which is the Code of Security. Now, Code of Security is, as it indicates, it will be ensuring the safety security or retirement benefit, social security of the employee.
My last question of this part 1 episode is, what are the objectives of Code of Social Security 2020?
Always we compare ourselves with the Western countries. When a person retires, then the government takes care of. Now in India, that was not the case. Therefore, there has to be strong retirement benefits, strong social security after a certain age. Therefore, our main and foremost object of Social Security Code was it should be extended to all employees and workers, whether in the organized sector or unorganized sector. Even the Gharelu Kamgar, even the farm labor, including perivaras, pathwalas, all those will be covered under the Social Security. It will also make a voluntary coverage of ESIC and PF scheme if the number of employees are less than the limit. Today, if you have that less than 10 persons, PF and all those things are not there. Today, you can do that. Even the person who is a self-employer, one person, he can also take the benefit of Code of Social Security. Even the Code of Social Security benefits are given to the temporary worker, contract workers, and maximum number of employees are been covered under the definition of employees. So, almost each and every person will be covered under the Social Security. Importantly is electronic registration for the employer. Various Social Security organization as a National Security Board for the unorganized sectors will be provided, will be constituted. It will empower government to frame the scheme for temporary workers, migrant worker, member of their families for their health under ESIC scheme, and self-employed workers, employers also will get Social Security, so that his retirement is guaranteed. He will live peacefully, even though that time earning capacity may not be there, because saving also will be there. And most importantly, you need not have the tension of permanent labor and how he will go and how he can sack and how can be there, how he can exit from my business. Now, employer can take the employee on the fixed term employment basis. It means what? You can be employed for 2 years. Once 2 years are over, your employer-employee relationship is automatically cut. But even for these 2 years, you will get the gratuity proposal for 2 years. And gratuity, that too 15 days for each completed year. That is the main is earlier it was the 5 years. After completion of 5 years service, you used to get the gratuity. Now, here even the gratuity will be provided to the all. For if you are the permanent employee, then 5 years. But if you are the fixed term employees, then gratuity is applicable even for the 1 month. And you can have employment contract for 1 year, 2 year and 3 year. Therefore, there will be a relaxation to the employers. There will be a better savings for the employees, and employees means everybody, whether in the organized sector, unorganized sector, whether at any level, small worker to the big manager. Everybody will be covered under this.
We know that when Naval sir shares his time to answer our questions, we always want to have more of it. And surely we are going to have more of it, but in the part 2 episode, which will be released soon. But till then, let's start preparing for the sprint of labor laws. And on that note, it is time for me to end this episode and say a goodbye.